Welcome to Mind and Movement, getting smart about how you move. I'm Hazel. Thank you for joining me for Coffee and Move 38. Just 10, 11, 12 or so more days to go in level 3 here in New Zealand. I hope you're having a great time. I'm really excited to get out and do some surfing as we're allowed to surf currently under alert level 3. What are you excited about? Please get in touch with me, let me know. It'd be wonderful to hear from you. So today we're going to drink some coffee. Cheers to everybody out there. I hope you're still doing really well. And if you're not doing so well, I hope you're going to experience some post-traumatic growth, which is growth from our challenging experiences. So today we're going to do a little bit of hip mobility. I'm already sitting in just a side sit position, a very common position for a child to be in. I'm going to make it a little bit more geeky by talking about the position of my feet here. But the whole aim here is I'm just feeling into what's going on in my body. I can feel that this hip is very much on the ground. And this hip is on the ground as well. The bone is on the ground, but I feel like it could be slightly more on the ground. So there's definitely some room for improvement in this position here, the mobility of this hip. So the reason why I'm interested in the foot position here is because if I mark with my finger a spot on my shin there, and I take this foot into just a straight position, you can see that this bone rotates that way, right? So that means different loads for my knee and whatnot. And I'm interested in loading my foot currently in the dorsiflexed position because I'm aiming for that position when I'm walking. So it's a bit of nerdy biomechanics for you, but you can do it with your foot straight like that if the loads feel better. And this is basically based on feel, what feels good. Here feels like it's more of a challenge for me than here. So I'm just going to do that for a short period of time. So this is just a side sitting position. One of the best ways to get more hip mobility, more mobility into your hips is to spend more time sitting on the floor. Asian cultures, the Japanese especially, spend a lot of time floor sitting. They have a way less, a way reduced amount of lumbar back pain problems than other cultures and countries who tend to do a lot of floor squatting and whatnot. Spending time on the floor, holding their own body up instead of having a chair hold them up, tend to do a lot better in terms of suffering from lower back pain. So hip mobility is very important for lower back pain. If we can't move at the hips, the place just above it that most of us can move at is the lower back. So the lower back starts to have to deal with a huge amount of loads. And a friend of mine a while ago did the Vipassana meditation, and he said it was just an awesome thing for opening up his hips. He sat on a pile of cushions, and every day he just took one cushion out, and that's 10 days. 10 days of floor sitting, he said his hip mobility had increased dramatically. And he's a rugby player and was just astonished by how much mobility he'd got from working on his hip mobility all day, every day. So you actually can make changes very quickly when you are focused on it, I suppose. So here you might notice that this hip is not on the ground, right? So, and it feels slightly uncomfortable around the front of this hip for me. So I'm just taking note of when my leg here is in a little bit of flexion. It's coming out this way as well, so it's in a little bit of abduction, and it's a little bit rotated, internally rotated here. Those loads do really stretch up through my adductors here. So it's me just going, yep, need to do this one. And what I really get interested in my body is when I really don't want to do a movement. Sometimes there's a very valid reason for that, especially if it's painful, I don't do it then. But if it's just kind of like, I don't want to do it because I know my body really needs it, then they are the movements that I kind of tend to prioritize. So here I am prioritizing spending a bit more time on this hip because it's not as mobile as the other one. And when I look back at my life and how I have injured myself, I have injured this leg a lot. I've injured this knee, an impact injury, I've had a severe ankle sprain on this ankle. So it would make sense to me that I'd lost mobility and strength on this side. Cool, so now we're going to come up and sit on our feet here. And an interesting thing to look at here is we can be working on the plantar flexion of our feet here. So lots of people, when they do this one, end up doing this. So their feet come in, and again, that's changing the position of my shank, my tibia and fibia, my lower leg bone, and it's not actually challenging my plantar flexion. So if I do that and sit up on my heels, now I'm getting more of a stretch. In my down the front of the shin there, so in tib ant and the other long toe muscles there. Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to start going from side to side. This just brings a little bit of movement into it. And then I'm going to come over all the way and sit on the side here, all the way down to the ground. And so these are just some hip openers. Also here, when this hip drops to the ground, you might feel a stretch through here, through the side. If that feels nice, you can accentuate it a little bit by coming back, keeping that hip on the ground, but then coming back over this way. Make sure then that you're not thrusting your ribs, but that your ribs are staying down in a neutral position. And you can come back over to the other side and just open up through this side. You can relax the head away, or you can just take the rib cage away from the pelvis here. Get a stretch into the abs on the lateral side of the body here and into the QL or quadratus lumborum. Psoas might get a little bit of something if it's lucky. So just a side sit shift, I suppose you'd call this one. Okay, so we've done the side sit, this one. We've done a side shift, this one. And so now we're just going to do a folded leg sit, and we'll do some spinal rotations while we're here. So just take note of which way you have crossed your legs and which way you cross your arms. Try and do it the other way. It's an amazing way to get different shapes into your body. So here we're just going to cross our hands over our chest. No thrusting, no shifting, just a pure rotation here. And some breathing. You're using your abs to do that rotation, so breathing down here is going to be difficult. See if you can breathe into the side of your chest. See where you can breathe. Can you breathe into the back of your chest? Or does all the air just want to come up here? So really work on distributing that. Noticing where you've got movement and where you don't. And let's come the other way, so nice deep breath in. And then rotate. Yeah, so I feel that I don't go as far this way, so I'm going to use my hands to help pull me around a little bit further, but then I've got to be able to hold that extra rotation with the strength in my abdominal muscles. Cool, and I can feel this leg wanting to help out, so just cueing into what's happening. Now I'm going to cross my legs the other way, and we'll do that again. So just a simple rotation. Of course, when we're rotating, we're changing what's happening at the hips subtly. And we're feeling into, do I want to use my hips to do this movement? Am I pushing down with my leg, for example, to help me rotate? Or am I lifting my legs up to help me rotate? What tensions am I bringing into this? Certainly you want to be using your abs to do this rotation, but you shouldn't really, these muscles could be nice and relaxed. there's a possibility that they could be nice and relaxed. Lots of our muscles love to have chronic tension in them. I really love searching for that chronic tension in my body, because when I find it and let it go, I feel a whole lot more relaxed in my tissue, which helps me feel a whole lot more relaxed as a human being. So I really enjoy that. I used to have a lot of tension in my quads. I've since learned to turn my quads off. I used to have a lot of tension in my abdomen. I still am working on that one, but my abdomen likes to yoink, come on whenever, all the time. I've been taught that I need to do that to support my back, or I need to do that to make it look like I've got a really nice flat stomach, but all of that is just creating pressure problems in my abdominal cavity and, basically changing the way my organs in here can act. And I'm not into that, so I'm all about relaxing the abdominal cavity as much as I can. So there are two areas that I am looking for tension constantly throughout the day. So just find areas where you've got tension, work on letting them go, and notice how that changes not only how you feel in that part of your body, but how you feel everywhere in your body. So cheers to you. Thank you so much for joining me. May I just say how much I appreciate those of you that are really following along and doing this on a daily basis. It's been so fun for me, and it is so fun for me to do this. And I'm going to keep doing this. I think I'm going to do a more structured, more formal, I won't do it every day like I'm doing now, but I will release a video every day. I'll record a bunch of videos and then release them on a daily basis so that there's more structure to them, because I realised that in doing these I have gone, oh yeah, I'll do that tomorrow, and then the next day I do something completely different. So it may have seemed a bit kind of higgledy-piggledy for you folks, and indeed it is. But if you're excited about that, let me know. I'm really excited about it, just to keep some kind of relationship here with you who have just hung out with me over the course of this COVID-19 level 4 and going into level 3. Thanks so much. Really look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Have a lovely cup of coffee and enjoy moving today.